Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Peeping Ballers. Just when we thought we'd reached the bottom of the barrel, things get even worse for the South Korean national team and the KFA. According to media reports in South Korea this week, there was a bit of a gambling problem and also a bit of a stealing uniform problem for this team at the Asian Cup. We'll get into that in this video, but first, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Now, my co-founder at Peeping Ballers, Jason, did an excellent job recapping Ping Pong Gate, which was the infamous scuffle that took place between Captain Heung-min and Kang-in the day before the match against Jordan in the semifinal. After this scandal broke, the Korean public thought that, oh, maybe that was the only bad thing that happened at the Asian Cup. Come to find out, about a month after the tournament ends, we're getting more stories coming in the press about the corruption in the KFA, but also the lack of discipline within the national team. So the first story that I'm going to talk to you guys about is related to gambling. According to the Korea Herald, the headline says, national team members engaged in late-night gambling before Asian Cup. Now, for those who don't know, gambling in South Korea is technically illegal, but there is a clause in the Criminal Act that states, quote, gambling for a mere pastime shall not be punished. And that pretty much means that if you're betting or gambling small amounts of money, then it's not against the law. Personally, as someone who grew up in America, I don't understand why there's a prohibition on gambling. To me, it's like having a prohibition on liquor, drugs, or prostitution. It's just never going to work. But alas, that's the law in South Korea. And especially celebrities are frowned upon if they break this law. So basically, the South Korean players were having a base camp / training camp over in the UAE before they flew over to Qatar for the Asian Cup. Now, apparently, during this camp, 4 to 5 of the players and a staff member, we'll call them A, reportedly played card games deep into the night. A staff member in question reportedly brought gambling chips from South Korea. He either entered the players' lounge or their rooms and played with them. The KFA basically confirmed this report, saying that, a game did go on, but it wasn't exactly gambling because no player lost more than 50,000 won, which is around 35 to 38 US dollars. Now, the staff member in question has reportedly been removed from his duties, although the KFA said that this was not directly related to the card game. In reality, guys, this light gambling situation to me isn't a big deal, but to the public it is because, again, you're seeing a lack of discipline within this squad. You have a very important tournament coming up, but instead of getting rest, recovering, and getting ready for the next day of training, a lot of these players seem to be taking their time with the national team a little too lightly and engaging in card games into the middle of the night. Now, the KFA said that they fired A from his position, but it wasn't because of the card game. And I'm speculating here, and I could be wrong, but in my opinion, they fired this person because of a much more sinister issue that we'll get into now. Now, if you've watched South Korea's games at the Asian Cup, 5 of the 6 games that South Korea played, they wore their home reds. Very pretty kits too. Shout out to Nike. But for some reason, in the semifinal match against Jordan, we came out with our blacks, which are also, decent kits. But it made people wonder, like, why are we wearing these kits? And now there's a report coming in the media today that talks about how this staff member, A, allegedly stole the home uniforms before the match against Jordan and sold them, which is the reason why South Korea had to wear the away kits because they just didn't have any home kits to put on. This story hasn't been confirmed or denied yet by the KFA. Reporters have reached out to the KFA and asked them about this, and the association hasn't said anything, which is really alarming because they were very quick to confirm the Ping Pong Gate story, but they're keeping their mouths shut about this. And I think the reason they're keeping their mouths shut about this story is because an investigation is ongoing, and they're trying to determine exactly who staff member A sold these kits to, for how much, and how nobody on the team seemed to notice that their uniforms were missing until they played Jordan. I mean, it's a crazy story, and to be honest, I don't know whether to believe it or not because, again, it hasn't been confirmed. But given the lack of institutional control shown by this association, honestly, I could see that happening, even though it's an completely embarrassing and awful incident. I can't think of a time when I've heard about a national team not having any kits to wear because a staff member stole them and tried to sell them for financial gain. It kind of shows you, along with this gambling story, the type of lowlifes that the KFA seem to be hiring. I mean, if you're representing the country, couldn't you go through the proper hiring process and screening process to make sure that the people you're putting with the national team are of a high moral character, and then they're not going to do things to jeopardize the performance at an important tournament? I think it's something so basic that even the CEO of a mini startup would know how to do it, but it seems like something that's not possible for the Korea Football Association. Now, if you guys know the excellent Korean football writer Steve Han, who was on our channel recently, I've had a few conversations with Steve, and he told me that Mong-gyu, the chairman of the KFA, is actually never at the KFA headquarters slash office building in Cheongno-gu. He maybe goes there once a month, or just maybe when he has to for a press conference, because the man is an important figure in HDC Group, which is one of the largest conglomerates in all of South Korea. They got their hands in everything from the real estate business to automobiles. It's like almost having Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk running their own professional sports teams, but putting them in charge of hiring a coach while simultaneously running Tesla or Amazon. It just makes zero sense. But that's the way the KFA is set up right now, which is why I could actually totally believe this uniform stealing story, because that's how incompetent people at this organization are. Now, despite these clown show stories coming out, the KFA sold out all the tickets for the upcoming match against Thailand next week in Seoul. People in Korea were trying to boycott the game. They were trying to tell football fans not to buy the tickets and to send a message to the KFA that you are not going to get our hard-earned money until Mong-gyu steps down or you implement real institutional change. I don't think that message really got across to the public because the tickets sold out. It's unfortunate, but I think in a country with over 50 million people, it definitely is hard to sway public opinion with a simple campaign. Now, this is all very sad because things shouldn't be like this for South Korean football. We have a wonderfully talented generation of players in the national team, and also a good group of young players coming up through the under-23, under-20 teams. Very knowledgeable pundits like Julian Laurens have been praising our team for the development that we've had over the past 20 years. But it seems like most outsiders aren't aware of the internal rot and poison and toxin that's taken root in South Korean football. If I was to make an analogy, it's like we're that really, really pretty girl or pretty boy at the dance, but we have a really, really shitty personality and we're very high maintenance and we're not very nice to talk with. I mean, it shows you that while we have very talented and visually appealing players on the pitch, on the inside, the house is rotting. It's an insane asylum where anything goes. I mean, how could imagine that a staff member on the national team would steal kits and sell them? Like, really? Especially if you didn't want to get caught. Did you really think that you would be able to sell the uniforms of the national team during a major tournament without getting caught? And it's very embarrassing. And while I will say I don't want Korea to tank a World Cup or not qualify for a World Cup, because this 2026 World Cup means the world to South Korea, especially because we're going to be playing in front of a generation of Korean expats, Korean Americans, Korean Canadians, Korean Mexicans that are going to want to, watch the national team of their ancestors on North American soil. We can't mess up this World Cup, but I think since we only have 2 years left, the only option is to blow up everything within the KFA hierarchy, especially getting rid of Mong-gyu, because, guys, this is so embarrassing, and we just, like I said, we cannot afford to mess up 2026. Thanks again for watching this video. If you like it, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.